Thank everybody so very much for joining us on this Unmuted. And we have our Women's Empowerment Roundtable. And what a great group of outstanding women we have for you. I want you to meet them, each one. Riley Gaines. She spoke out while she was a University of Kentucky swimmer, a Division I swimmer, and she was forced to compete against a man swimming for a competitor's women's team. And for all of those watching in Music City, Stacy Case needs no introduction to you. She is a 32-year veteran journalist, a former main anchor at Fox 17 News in Nashville, and former national correspondent for CBS News. Mayra Flores is the first female U.S. representative to have been born in Mexico and is unafraid to speak the truth about the border crisis. Carrie Severino is a brilliant legal mind, and we can all thank her for helping us get Justices Brett Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett confirmed. And Pam Bondi served as Florida Attorney General and helped President Trump during his first impeachment trial. She is a strong, solid conservative woman, and she does not back down to the woke mob. Ladies, I thank each of you for joining me today. Riley, Mayra, I want to come to the two of you first. You are outspoken leaders. You've kind of charted your own path. When you were suggested that you to back down or silence yourselves, you chose to speak out against cancel culture. So Mayra, let's come to you first. And let's talk about this. How have you been able to continue speaking up and not letting the left get to you?
Well, honestly, my children have inspired me to do everything that I am doing today. You know, if I was able to accomplish the American dream, I want to make sure that our children also accomplish the American dream. I was born in Mexico, came here when I was 6 years old, thanks to my father, worked in the cotton fields alongside my parents, instilling in me the value of hard work. Became a respiratory care practitioner. I'm a proud Border Patrol wife, and I've accomplished the American dream. And I want to make sure that my kids also accomplish the American dream, and they don't stop me. You know, a lot of people feel that with your children, it's a lot more difficult. I actually believe that because of our children, they give us this fire, this motivation for us to keep on going. You know, many times my children have saved me. And I am who I am today because of my children. So they're my biggest inspiration.
Well, I think that does motivate a lot of us, and having kids excel and reach those dreams. Riley, you were somebody who was reaching for those dreams and living out your dream. And then all of a sudden, here was a male swimmer that knocked you off the podium. So what gave you the strength to speak out on that?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you, Senator Blackburn. But a little background, this isn't just a male swimmer who was good swimming as a male and then transitioned to a woman. This was a male who was ranking 462nd nationally among the men, transitioning to the women's side, dominating, becoming the fastest female in the country by body lengths, beating out Olympians, American record holders, the most impressive female swimmers this country has ever seen. And so to me, what inspired me to truthfully speak up is I felt like if I didn't, I was denying objective truth. I feel as if, well, I know as if man and woman is the sheer essence of humanity. And when we've reached a spot in our society and within our culture to where we're denying that, that's a much bigger problem than just the fairness in sports piece. We're denying truth. We're changing our language. It's now offensive to use the terms like motherhood, breastfeeding, all of these terms that are strictly for women. It's now offensive to use those terms. And so me being 22, I was actually set to be in dental school this year, and so my life plans have changed drastically. But I saw the problem. I saw that no younger women were willing to speak up to this because these girls are terrified. They don't want to be labeled as transphobic or bigots or hateful. But I don't think it makes you transphobic to acknowledge that there are two sexes, to acknowledge that you can't change your sex, and to acknowledge that women deserve respect and women deserve equal opportunity. And so, like Mayra, my inspiration is for the past female athletes who fought relentlessly for Title IX and for equal opportunities for women in sports. Another inspiration is the present female athletes who, like I just mentioned, are scared to use their voice, who are suppressed and have their voices silenced by their universities or by the NCAA or by larger organizations. And then my last why is, of course, the future generation of athletes. I just got married, and I can only hope one day that I get to have a daughter who plays sports, and I can't imagine being in the position that I'm in now and not fighting for her.
Very true. And Stacy, I want to come to you. I know you have kids that are competitors, and I know you're probably enjoying listening to Riley, but also you have charted quite a career for yourself in journalism. And if you would touch on why it is nearly impossible for conservatives like Riley, like Mayra, to be treated fairly by the mainstream media.
First of all, Senator Blackburn, thank you so much for having me this morning. And to all of the women on this panel, thank you for blazing your individual trails for the greater good. Riley, I was just floored by getting to hear you talk. I've seen many interviews with you, and we have a daughter who's just signed on to play Division I college tennis, and we have a son who's aspiring to play college golf as well. So we have been in the throes and the thick of all of this and watching from the sidelines, so thank you for speaking out. When it comes to journalism, I will say I'm very thankful for the career I've had, 32 years in this business, and I am an old school journalist. So when the industry began to change and become something other than journalism, is when I knew at my ethical center that I could not be a part of this industry anymore. It's not about truth. I will go ahead and say it right now, and I'm sure Trish will agree with me. Right now, at this juncture, the season we're in, journalism is dead. Journalism is dead. Toward the end, we were asked to change wording. We were told we had to have more of an edge. I'll give you an example. The owner of Black Rifle Coffee Company. So some people had on some Black Rifle Coffee Company paraphernalia, maybe a hat or a shirt, whenever they stormed the Capitol. A reporter was asked to hold the owner of that company accountable because someone wore his t-shirt or his hat to storm the Capitol. I asked editorially, what about Nike? Are we going to hold the CEO of Nike accountable if someone wore a Nike hat or shirt to storm the Capitol? At the end of that day, the reporter was not able to get the Black Rifle Coffee Company owner to respond. I again spoke up and said, we should not run this story. We can't hold this person accountable. And I was overruled. And that was the final straw. And so when they came with another contract, I said, what you're asking me to do and what you're asking people to do, the journalist, does not align with anything I'm reading in my Bible daily. I am not supposed to sow discord unnecessarily. I am not supposed to speak half-truths and lies. I am not supposed to fudge things. I am not supposed to create a narrative. I am here for truth. I am here to present both sides. And if I'm not able to do that in this industry anymore, bye-bye.
Well, that is really quite amazing. And I know that people in Nashville miss hearing your voice.
Thank you.
Yes. I want to kind of keep on that same thing at Carrie and Pam. Let's go to this issue at Stanford University that has happened, where you had a Trump-appointed U.S. Circuit Court judge. This is an appellate judge who was invited by some students at the Federalist Society. So some of the mob on campus, some of the students that are on the left, decided they would post the names and pictures of the students that had invited the judge, and then that they would shame and threaten the judge and shout him down when he came to speak. And Carrie and Pam are so prominent. They're national voices in our conversation here in this country. And I would love to get each of you to weigh in on the impact of silencing speech and what that does not only to the public conversation, but to the judicial system. And Carrie, let's start with you on this.
Yeah, this is a real concern on so many levels. One is we've seen an increasing trend of intimidation and bullying and threats against justices. You saw it from the Kavanaugh confirmation to the Dobbs leak and the attempted assassination against Justice Kavanaugh. There's still people who are going to their houses on a regular basis, and people posting, their place of worship or where their children go to school. This is a real concern because this is an attempt to shift our system of the rule of law to one of mob rule. That is not how our system is based. And it's most concerning because you see somewhere like Stanford, which is a elite law school, right, where you should be learning the principles that undergird the legal profession, including the fact that every discussion deserves reasoned, zealous debate on both sides, that you can have that debate without vilifying one side or the other. We have a system that says there's a right to representation, even for the most heinous murderers and criminals in this country. And that's part of our American principles. But apparently that system of having every side be allowed to have a voice at the table is not being extended to someone who's a federal judge. These students should be excited to hear from someone who's reached that pinnacle of their legal profession and learn from them. Even if you disagree with them, there's still something to learn. That's not a message that's being sent anymore at Stanford. The message that these young men and women who are going to go on to have elite legal jobs now across the country, the message they're being given is that basically might makes right. If you can shout the person down, that's more effective than actually engaging in a reasonable debate. Judge Duncan wasn't able to bring to give his presentation and his talk, and even one of the administrators there, who ought to have been someone standing up for the First Amendment and the rule of law, gave a prepared speech, came with a printout copy. So this is not responding to the events. This is someone who saw this as a platform for her to rail on the judge and to call into question whether First Amendment rights are even worth it. That's a really chilling to think that's what's being taught to the next generation of law students. And I know it's not law schools alone, but throughout our education system. So I think that's a real concern if our country is to retain the rule of law going forward.
I think so. And Pam, you were charged with keeping that rule of law for one of our largest states. So I'd love to get your take on all this.
Well, in Florida, we've been very blessed that we haven't had many incidents like this. They've tried at some of our public universities. And first, Senator Blackburn, you are the champion for women. You always have been. And I think that's why all of us are so blessed to be here with you today. Thank you. You are tough. You are courageous. You are fearless.
Thank you.
And we love you, my friend. Thank you. And thank you for always looking out for women. But, these universities used to be a safe place. And Riley, I know you never got to experience that. But back in the day, universities really were. And now they've become a place for cancel culture. And it's so sad. But what Carrie was saying about these judges and justices, it's so important and that's why federal judges and justices are a lifetime appointment, so they cannot be intimidated. And that's why that's so very important. And you remember well, Senator Blackburn, when Senator Schumer started going after our justices, it took Justice Roberts coming out to speak, and justices never come out and make statements, really. And for him to come out and defend the integrity of the courts was so important. And that's what our world has come to. And it's really a shame, but I don't think these justices and judges are going to back down. I think they're going to double down and continue to do what they know is right. And this is going to backfire on the woke culture that's taking place in our country now.
And I would love to hear each of you just one quick thing of how it has impacted you personally because you chose to stand up and to fight back and to not back down. Stacy, let's come to you first on this.
Well, since I walked away last June voluntarily and retired from an industry I loved, an industry I believed in, I had an altruistic view of journalism. You can use journalism to help people. You can use journalism to give a voice to the voiceless. You can use journalism to shine a light on injustice. You can use journalism to do good. And once I realized I was not going to be allowed to do that anymore, and I took that step and removed myself, extracted myself from something that at my very core had become unethical, I gained an awesome sense of relief. I've been in a period of what I would call recalibration and rest these last 7 or 8 months, something I have never done in my adult life. It has been full on, hard charging, just very career focused and family focused simultaneously, in trying to be the best mom I can be, and the best wife I can be, and the best employee I can be, and the best journalist I can be. So to step away and have some time to rest and recalibrate and really reflect on what I saw happen to the industry. And it was subtle at first. And I would kind of pass that off as, okay, I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that. I'm going to pretend I didn't see that. I'm going to kind of try to be okay with that. And it got to a point where I couldn't sleep at night and my stomach hurt. And so for me, it has been a great, it's been a sense of freedom and a sense of speaking my truth. And I have just enjoyed this time and figuring out where God's leading me next, because I know it's going to be great. And
it's been a refresher for you, Riley.
Yeah.
How about you? What impact has it had on you?
Like Stacy, it's liberating. Truthfully, what I've realized throughout this past year, it's been 1 year since Leah Thomas and I raced and we tied, and everything happened with the trophy, where the NCAA told me that Leah had to take the trophy regardless of our tie, because Leah had to have it for pictures. And so it's been 1 year since all of that. But in this past year, I mentioned how my life has changed drastically from where I thought I was going to be. I thought I was going to be in dental school preparing for endodontics. That's what I always thought I was going to do. Clearly, that's not what I'm doing. But this past year, I've realized how important it is, and really how courageous it is. Sadly, I hate that it requires courage to stand in the truth. I have had parents, female athletes, coaches, administrators, the most impressive, elite, both male and female athletes message me and thank me privately, of course, because they're scared to use their voice publicly. And so I'm just grateful.
It's great that you encourage others. Mayra, how about you?
You know, growing up, I never faced racism. And when I became the first Mexican-born congresswoman, for the first time, I was told to go back to Mexico. I was told that this wasn't my country, when this is my country. I'm a proud American. I ran because I wanted to protect the American dream, and I'm still fighting to protect the American dream. I never thought in my life that I would receive so much threats, so much hate towards myself, towards my family. It was very difficult times, but at the same time, I'm very proud that I stood for my conservative values that are more important than any political party, than any political career. Our values in our faith and in God and our family, it's what's most important. And I believe that we should never put that aside for no political party. So I'm very proud that I fought that, and that I continue to fight that.
That you stood up. Pam, how about you? That one word that has kept you going.
Oh, faith, hands down, faith. You can't do this without faith. Nothing else works without faith. And I even participated every week in a Bible study group in Tallahassee when I was Attorney General, because when I ran for office, I was the first female attorney general in the state of Florida. When I signed up to run, I didn't even know I was going to be the first female. I ran because I was qualified, and they attacked me every day. The left did for 8 years, not because I was a woman, because I was a conservative woman. And that's why what all of you are doing is so important. They attacked my husband and I at a movie theater, screamed at us, and the police said, "We're going to take you out the back door." I go, "No way. We are going out the door we came in. We are going out the front door. No one will intimidate us, and we will stand up for what we believe in." And thank you for all of you for doing the same thing every day.
Absolutely. And Carrie, you have been in the fire for a long time. What inspires you?
Yeah, it's I am in this job because originally I wanted to teach law, but I realized I couldn't do so without muzzling myself and not talking about the things that are most important. And I echo some of the things that Stacy and Riley have said about the freedom that it comes from just being able to say what you think. And obviously the faith aspect is so important in terms of having the courage to do that. And as Representative Flores said, family is the other real driving force, and realizing that what's the lesson you want to leave for your children in terms of giving them the model of that they're going to be following, and also helping build the America that they're going to be living in. Is as many times as you speak to millions of people on TV, the most important people are your children, and they're going to see what you're doing. And really, what we're doing in that is raising up the next generation who's going to take this country forward.
You all are helping us raise up a next generation and inspire a generation of women. Thank you so much for joining me today for Unmuted with Marsha for our Women's Empowerment Roundtable. Thank you all.
Thank you, Senator. God bless you.